Thank you, that was beautiful. Good morning. Welcome to our worship service here at the First Unitarian Society of Ithaca. Here we gather, nurturing our connections, in seeking inspiration, and engaging the world. My name is Jens Wenberg, and I'm the Celebration Associate today. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're a first-time viewer or have been enjoying us on this year-long journey, we are so glad you are here with us. Our service this morning is being live-streamed from our sanctuary in downtown Ithaca and will be available for later viewing as well on your YouTube channel. We look forward to seeing you at the live coffee hour that follows this service. During January and into February, we are limited to 30 pew sections, holding between 1 and 4 people. You can gather your pod and sit together. Advanced registration is still required, and masks will be worn in the building. We want to especially invite those of you who are participating at home by Zoom and YouTube to join us here in the sanctuary. Looking out over the congregation this morning, there are places available. The weekly announcement has procedures and links. If you need help, please contact the administrator at office@uuithaca.org for a reservation. Please check our website for more information about how to create connection. If you'd like to receive updates describing the opportunities for engagement, please email a request to office@uuithaca.org. Newcomers are especially invited to visit our website and complete the newcomer form on the home page. And now we have a Matters of Our Lives from Joanne Kowalski, talking about the UUA eighth principle.
Thank you, Jens. And I echo Jen's greetings to you all, those of you who are here and those who are nice and toasty warm at home. The Anti-Racism Ministry Team subcommittee, who is studying the eighth principle, will be offering a sermon and workshop on Sunday, February 13th. In keeping with the Soul Matters theme for February, which is widening the circle, the eighth principle coordination team has invited Paula Cole-Jones, co-author of the eighth principle, to virtually present the sermon for February 13th entitled, Building a Culture of Inclusion. I just noticed all our stuffies listening so intently to me. For those of you who might be new and not familiar with the Unitarian Universalism principles, there is a pew card with 7 principles listed. We are considering the possibility of adding an 8th principle, and Paula will share some background on the rationale for the proposed 8th principle and ask us to consider whether the current UU principles, these 7, go far enough and deep enough to result in social change. Following the service, join us for a Zoom workshop in the afternoon with Paula, when she will introduce the 8th principle and multicultural change as a developmental process for congregations. She'll talk about how other UU congregations approach the spiritual and structural aspects of moving into our vision of a beloved community. She will be available to answer questions and provide tools for our community to consider the possibility of adopting the 8th principle at our congregation. To date, there are 150 congregations across the United States that have adopted the 8th principle. Registration information will be included in this week's announce, or you can access the link to register on the homepage of FUSIT's website. If you'd like, you can also give me your name after the service, and I'll be sure that you get the information to register and connect you to the workshop. The coordination team will continue to offer opportunities to explore, dialogue, study, and discuss the eighth principle, so stay tuned. If you're interested in a particular area of study, please be sure to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Our speaker this morning is David Solomon. David has been a member of the First Unitarian Society in Ithaca since 2007. Before COVID, you may remember him wearing a purple hat, chairing the stewardship team, and as an enthusiastic celebration associate, or cooking for 100 hungry congregants. A New Jersey native, he and his wife are moving from Ellis Hollow to South Hill any day now, I think next Friday. Most of the time he can be found teaching architectural history and theory and design at Ithaca College. Will you now join me in saying the Chalice Lighting words that are in your order of service? We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. The opening words this morning are written by a Spanish poet, Antonio Machado, in his Proverbs and Tiny Songs. You are walking. Your footprints are the road and nothing else. There is no road. Walker, you make the road by walking. By walking, you make the road, and when you look backward, you see the path that you will never step on again. Walker, there is no road, only the wind trails on the sea. So now will you join us in singing hymn 389?
Good morning. We look almost evenly distributed between these two sides, and you may notice that this song has multiple parts. We're just going to do 2 parts in a round, but we will get the feel for it first, and then Emily will lead the second side. I will lead the first side. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, spirits draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, spirits draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the body, spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle
Good morning, friends. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in a stuffy friend for our stuffy sleepover. And thank you for all the wonderful members of our community who assisted with making this an exceptionally fun experience for our stuffies, and hopefully all of you who were following along at home. Our theme this month is living with intention. To live with intention sometimes means pausing so we can replenish and sort out what's important from what's not so important. Sometimes we have to pause and take a minute to rest and also make sure that we're going in the right direction. Without pauses, we'll never have the energy to fulfill our intentions, and we may end up getting way off course. Let's take a look inside our Wonder Box. Stuffies, what are you doing in here? They're supposed to be watching the service, not inside the Wonder Box. Sorry, oh, no. They even brought along some of our pictures from yesterday. I'm gonna put them back. As you can tell, we had our hands full yesterday. So they must have seen what I put in the Wonder Box this morning as they were waiting for the service to start and wanted to play with it, and wouldn't you? So today I have with me a boat. So boats use anchors when they want to pause and stay in place for a while. An anchor is a heavy device that's attached to the boat by a rope or chain. The anchor is thrown into the water. It sinks and grabs at the bottom of the sea and holds the boat in place instead of it sailing away. Back in here. When we want to live by our intentions, we can sometimes think that it's best to rush forward towards our goal as fast as possible. But the problem with that is we end up tired out. And sometimes we discover that we actually went on the wrong path and are now pretty lost. This is where pausing or dropping anchor helps. Taking a moment to pause lets us rest and regain our energy. It also gives us a moment to double check that we're going in the right direction. It allows us to ask, is this what I really want to be doing? Is this really where I want to go? Think of our intention as an anchor that helps us stay connected to what is important. We may be blown about by the wind or the rain, but the anchor holds us. Sometimes we need to drop anchor. We need to pause and hold ourselves in place and pay attention to what's important. And after our exciting and busy day and night here at our stuffy sleepover, I thought I, and maybe all of you, could use an opportunity to pause and slow down together this morning. So today we're going to explore how pausing or dropping anchor helps us remember what's important, and we're going to do that with a guided meditation. So it's time to relax and take a mental vacation. Start by making yourself comfortable. If you're at home, you may want to sit or lie down. Here, you can simply adjust your body into a comfortable position so that you can relax. Begin by letting go of tension and relaxing your body. Just start with one small area of your body that you notice is tense. Notice what that area is and allow it to ease slightly. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel the muscles in the area that you are focusing on becoming more relaxed. Imagine breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension. Notice breath, you can relax more and more areas of your body of the tension inside you. Feel your muscles relaxing, loosening as you breathe in and out, slowly and deeply. Now, notice where your body is the most relaxed. See how this feeling of relaxation is growing, spreading to other areas of your body. Feel your muscles relaxing, becoming loose. Your limbs are feeling heavy and relaxed. Your eyelids are also heavy. Go ahead and close your eyes if you haven't done so already, or simply soften your gaze. We're going to create a picture in our minds. Imagine that you are on the ocean just before sunrise. You're in a boat, floating. The ocean is very calm. Most of the water looks smooth, but you can see small ripples where gentle, peaceful waves roll in toward the distant shore. And you can see where the rope that the anchor has been attached to and dropped over the edge is holding you in place, allowing you to pause right here. Picture all of the details of this relaxing place. The sun has not yet risen, but the sky is just starting to get light. The air is cool, comfortable, and pleasant. The temperature is also pleasant. It's a calm, comfortable morning. Imagine the feel of a slight and gentle breeze on your skin. Imagine the fresh smell of the air, the smell of clean water and sand. Imagine in your mind the sound of the water lapping against the side of your boat. The sea is calm. The waves are quiet, but you can hear them as they move gently and calmly. It's early morning and you are the only one here. This is a calm, safe, pleasant place. Relax here on the gentle ocean. Notice now that the sun is starting to rise. You can see a spot of light at the horizon, as if the sun is rising right out of the water. See the light growing as the sun begins to rise above the horizon. Small streaks of light shine into the sky as the sky grows lighter and lighter with the growing dawn. You can see the peaceful waves as they break in the distance out on the water. The waves are calming, peaceful, with a gentle rhythm. Watch those waves flowing like your breath, in and out, in and out. Continue to observe that rhythm flowing with the rhythm of your breath. As you relax, you can enjoy the beautiful sunrise. Pink and orange give everything around you a warm glow. The sun has now risen above the horizon, still low in the sky. The breeze, the warm early sunlight, the gently lapping peaceful waves, all of these create a calm and peaceful place. Continue to relax here for a moment, enjoying the waves and the calm time of sunrise. The sun is shining brighter each moment. This has become a beautiful morning. The waves become a little bigger, a little more lively as the breeze increases. Everything around you seems to be waking up, getting ready for a lovely day. When you are ready to wake up your body and your mind and return to the present, give yourselves a couple of breaths and a moment to do so. Return awareness to your surroundings and notice the real environment that you are in. Let your muscles wake up by opening and closing your hands, shrugging your shoulders, rolling your neck, and moving around just a little where you are. Keep with you that feeling of peace and calm that you had while you're relaxing as you open your eyes and sit quietly for a moment. When you are awake and alert, know that you can return to this place in your mind whenever you want, to slow down and pause. Thank you so much for pausing and taking that journey with me today. Amidst the busyness of our lives, I hope that you are able to intentionally find moments to stop and return to that feeling of calm, to regain focus and energy, to slow down and make sure that you are on the path that you want to be on, as we all continue to strive to live each moment with intention.
Good morning. So before I launch into the formal joys and sorrows, I just want to remind particularly those of you that are at home that if you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to have shared during the service, that you can send it to the email address spelled out, joysandsorrows@uuithaca.org by 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, and then they will be read during the joys and sorrows. And because we're live streamed, just want to remind you to make sure that you're okay with whatever you want to say going out to anywhere on live streamed in Channel 13. So, in a spirit of reverence, love, and care, we take time now to bear witness to the joys and sorrows of our community, to share those events that call for our prayers and support, our praise and celebration. So, since I didn't have any joys and sorrows sent this morning, I'm going to make up a couple here. So, first of all, I want to welcome the Stuffies to our service and to say some words of appreciation for Emily Richards, our DRE, who put together the Stuffy Sleepover. It was great fun for the Stuffies, I know, and also for the adults that participated yesterday. And the second joy is that I want to give a shout out to our tech team who makes the streaming of our services, now that we're back in the sanctuary, available to those of you who want to stay in your nice warm home on Sunday morning and still see the services. So a shout out to our tech team, Tim Ball, Russ Sharif, Steve Doria, and Angela Zhang. So thank you. For those we are holding in our thoughts, in our hearts, and perhaps in our prayers, let us call these names out loud into this community, into this space of healing and hope right now. Let us extend loving kindness to all in our world, and let us not forget to extend loving kindness to ourselves. today, tomorrow, and beyond, let our hands be outstretched in kindness, and let us keep showing up to our lives and each other with an open heart, no matter what. Love and courage to us all. Blessed be, and amen.
Let us continue to be relaxed. Oh. Thank you. That's the tech team warning me that I wasn't quite right. So let us continue in that place of relaxation that we started out with Emily and then followed just with all of our joys and sorrows. And sit back, be comfortable. Close your eyes if you wish. Join me in this reading, some silence, and our meditation hymn. May I be an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. May not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love.
Slow down, recharge, take a breath and remember who you are. Slow down, recharge, take a breath and remember who you are. Slow down, recharge, take a breath and remember who you are. Slow down, recharge, take a breath and remember who you are. Slow down, recharge, take a breath and remember who you are. Slow down, recharge, take a breath and remember who you are.
Amen. Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. The giving information is shown in the order of service. For those who are watching remotely, the text number and website will appear on your screen during the offertory music, and the information below in the live stream image on YouTube. Once a month, the offering made during our Sunday service is donated to an organization chosen by the Social Justice Council. This morning, the recipient of our January offering will be to Opportunities, Alternatives, and Resources. Most of us know that as OAR. For over 40 years, OAR has been protecting civil liberties of those incarcerated in the Tompkins County Jail by assuming innocent until proven guilty, ensuring legal representation in the cases of indigenous, bailing eligible individuals pre-trial, and thus improving the odds of their acquittal, offering the college initiative upstate and providing the transitional sober housing. These programs help restore and maintain their clients' inclusion in the community. So, please take a moment, give generously, either through the text option or the giving button on the church website. If you're attending in person and would prefer to write a check or leave money, there is a box by the door when you exit after the service. Please join me saying the offertory words printed in your order of service. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
Good morning. What a joy it is to be back here, to see most of your faces, to see familiar faces, and to see some new ones. It is a joy. It is also a sorrow to think of the faces that we won't ever see here again. The reading today is by the French philosopher Michel Serres, a chapter from the chapter, The Religious. We are constantly losing our memory of the strange acts that priests used to practice alone in somber and secret nooks, where they would dress the statue of a god, adorn it, ready it, raise it up or take it out, prepare a meal for it, and talk to it constantly. They would do this every day and every night, at dawn and at dusk, when the sun and the shade reached their apogee. Were they afraid that a single pause in the continuous, infinite upkeep and conversation would open up the door to tremendous consequences? Amnesiacs that we are, we also forget while the Benedictine monks get up before dawn to sing matins and lauds, the minor hours of prime, terce, and sext, or put off their rest until late into the night in order to chant again at Compline. We don't remember these necessary prayers or these perpetual rites. And yet, not far from us, Trappists and Carmelites still say the divine office without respite. They are not following time, but sustaining it. Their shoulders and their voices, from biblical verses to orisons, bear each minute into the next throughout duration, which is fragile and would break without them. And who, conversely, convinces us that there are no gaps in the threads of fabric of time? Day and night, Penelope never left her loom. In the same way, religion presses, spins, knots, assembles, gathers, binds, connects, lifts up, reads, or sings the elements of time. The term religion expresses exactly this trajectory, this review or prolonging, whose opposite is called negligence. The negligence that incessantly loses the memory of these strange actions and words. So my sermon today is on the theme of time, and I guess it's very appropriate, or among the things that are appropriate about that is that I wrote it 24 months ago or so, and was supposed to read it 22 months ago on March 14th, 2020. So we'll see if it's still relevant. In the summer of 1991, Wendy and I exchanged a single dollar bill with her father for a 1979 Ford Econoline van, a green box complete with floor-to-ceiling shag carpet and a makeshift bed in the back. I see that some of you get the picture. A month earlier, we had quit our jobs. 2 months prior to that, we had gotten married. 2 months afterward, found us in Milwaukee studying graduate school. In the interim, we wandered around out west. One of the things you learn, or one of the things that I learned on such a trip, is that it's the time between things, not the distance, that matters. Or I should say, it's the duration, not the distance, that matters. We've all experienced the difference between duration and time. A 5-hour ride in the desert has a completely different duration than a 5-hour flight from New York to LA, or the 20 minutes that I'm going to spend with you may seem like 40 to you. I don't know. Hopefully not. But duration is a kind of subjective time. It is towards a different relationship with time, of an interest in taking a longer, more generous view of time, a religious view of time that Michel Serres alluded to in the reading I just gave you, that I want to address this morning. I have many vivid memories of that cross-country trip. One of them is less visual than the others, but it's the one that has had the most lasting, if not the slowest influence over me. I want to say that it originated in a guidebook we had with us, or maybe it was from a text panel or a park ranger. It doesn't really matter. What I remember, or what I want to remember, is that in certain Native American cultures, when it is time to make an important decision, they think about how that decision will affect the next 3 generations to come, and if it will respect the wishes of the 3 generations that came before them. Having entrusted the future to us, what would our great-grandparents think of what we're doing now? And what will our great-grandchildren have to bear in the future? I recently told this story, 2 years ago, recently told this story to my students, not the shag carpet-lined van story, the 3 generations forward and back story. I had assigned the same chapter by Saris that I read from today, and we were talking about time and duration. I asked them, "What's a long time for you?" "An hour," one blurted out. "A week," said another. I pressed them, "Really? What's the next leap?" "My lifetime, until I die, 60 years, a brave soul said. "Ah, one's lifetime, the ultimate marker of time." I asked, "Do you think about what happened before your life began, or what will happen after your life, to other humans, to the earth?" I asked them tenderly, sincerely. They answered with silence. Again, they had just read a part of Sarah's The Natural Contract, which is a philosophical lament about the modern world's attitude towards the earth and towards time, an attitude that he recognized as being short-sighted. In other words, it's a prescient book about global warming and the dangers of literally mining the planet's resources and its people for the comfort and wealth of a few. It's also about the dangers of progress and the cost of leaving old, slower ways of thinking behind. Yet, it is not a conservative book. It does not seek to return to the past. It only asks that we do not throw out traditional ways of knowing when we adopt newer ones. That we recognize the different cycles, different durations of time present in natural and social conditions. Among Saris's points is that there is no technological fix to what is essentially an ideological problem. It will take thinking differently to change the world. Where to turn, asked this philosopher, classicist, humanist, to religion. Not a specific religion, but to the idea of religion. He writes, "The learned say that the world religion could have 2 sources of origins. According to the first, it would come from the Latin verb religare, to attach. Does religion bind us together? Does it assure the bond of this world to one another? According to the second origin, related to the first, it would mean to assemble, gather, lift up, traverse, or reread. But the learned never say what sublime word our language opposes to the religious in order to deny it. Negligence. The notion of negligence makes it possible to understand our time and our weather. Temps in French means time and weather. Religion, then, is the lack of negligence, or in a more positive term, it is connection and care. There was a picture in one of the guidebooks we had in the van of the Acoma Pueblo that called to me like the Devil's Tower called Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters. It seemed to me an impossible place, a town built on an isolated 360-foot tall mesa, founded around 1100, say the archaeologists, though oral history says much, much earlier. Founded by the Acoma people and colonized by the Spanish, who began building a large mission and church there in 1629. It was a cloudy, damp day when we walked through the seemingly abandoned Sky City. Few, if any, other tourists were there, no residents either. It was eerie. The almost 500-year-old church with 7-foot thick adobe walls was even colder and creepier. It was so utterly confusing to me that it was a Catholic church. The messaging in the guidebooks and the visitor center focused on the fact that Acoma was the oldest permanently inhabited settlement in North America, that it was a place that sustained native traditions and architecture, and yet its main monument was for a European institution. As the urban scholar Kevin Lynch might ask, what exactly time was this place? Was it ancient or colonial or contemporary or all three at once? And who did and who was taking care of this place? Here was a site that withstood time, where ancient, native, mythical, political, economic, and climatic realities coexisted equally, if not uncomfortably, together. And there we were in 1991, completely ignorant of its place in history and of the issues of colonization and long and complex history of the competition between civilizations on this continent. There was literally no distance between us and this uncanny site, yet its people and its history seemed eons away. In Shakespeare's words, our time was out of joint. For Sarah's, resetting it requires a religious practice. Again, from Sarah's. What if it turned out that human history and tradition exists simply because men devoted to the longest term conceivable have never stopped sewing time back together? Devoted to the longest term conceivable. Is that the eternal? No, that's not conceivable. How much time is conceivable? That's what I was asking my students. The answer of the Pueblo people was at least 7 generations. What is it today? What is it for you? What future are we planning for? What trees, both literal and metaphoric, are we planting now to be projected for the distant future? Sarah fears that indeed we are neglecting the future, neglecting the planet, because we worry too much about ourselves, about our own species, and about our own time. He writes, through exclusively social contracts, we have abandoned the bond that connects us to the world, the one that binds the time passing and flowing to the weather outside, the bond that allows our language to communicate with mute, passive, obscure things that, because of our excesses, are recovering voice, presence, activity, light. We can no longer neglect that bond. While we uneasily await the second flood, can we practice a diligent religion of the world? A religion of the world, a religion that binds us to one another and the earth, a religion that consistently and persistently works to link our past to our present and our present to our future? Is that not our religion? Is that not Unitarian Universalism? Back in the summer of 1991, early August found us in Salt Lake City. From there, we had planned to turn back east. But on that map, you still used maps back then, San Francisco was a straight shot down Route 80. A 12-hour drive just didn't seem that long anymore. We turned left instead of right. In Reno, we left messages for Wendy's cousins. We're coming, arriving in 5 hours. Hope you have a bed for us. When we got there, it was foggy and cold, but we slept under the thickest, heaviest blanket. We took long, hot showers. We learned what sourdough really was. We ate a delicious meal that we definitely couldn't afford. We were well cared for. We were loved by them, and we loved them and their city and one another. Love. Love is Cyrus's answer to his own question regarding the diligent shoulders necessary to sustain us in the coming environmental and social crises. Without love, he says, there are no ties or alliances. His is an expansive love, a love of the local, of family, of our neighbors, but also a love of the universe, of other species, of minerals, of those buried and those not yet born. A love of the longest conceivable duration. If what the world needs is an enduring, everlasting love, then what love needs is a religion to sustain it. And a religion needs rituals that actively press, spin, knot, assemble, gather, bind, connect us, and our unique durations, not only to one another, but to all the creatures and elements of earth. Is that not why we come here on Sundays? To sustain and care for the people in this place and this earth that sustains us. To gather us up into one body, to struggle with the power, to seek out the mysteries found in the many human and non-human spirits surrounding us. So to wind things up, perhaps it wasn't fair to ask my 20-year-old students to think about what will happen to the world after they die. Maybe, or maybe not. When is the right time to speculate upon and to be generous with the mystery that is the future, that is the afterlife? The afterlife not defined as an eternal heaven or hell, but simply as that which follows one's own life. Since my encounter with the three-generational logic of the Pueblo people, I have thought of the afterlife in terms of my own influence, for better or worse, on the people who survive me, on the planet that survives me. I've also thought of how I contain the lives and thoughts of those who came before me. What Ceres reminds me is that it's not just other people who are affected by one's life. All beings and non-beings are. All the more reason not to be negligent, all the more reason to be religious, and to review and prolong the multiple durations present in people, animals, plants, rocks, water, air, etc. However, I am forgetful and I am negligent. Sometimes I don't think beyond myself or the generation immediately before or after me. Sometimes I privilege people over the planet. I forget that my ancestors had dreams and passions, but not the privilege that I have. Because I forget, I need our religion. This congregation to remind me to love everything for the longest possible duration. Our religion entreats us to create both social and natural contracts. It is a religion that asks us to take the long view, to open ourselves to different durations, to different beings, in order to actively, if slowly, bend the arc of history not only towards social justice, but towards natural justice, a justice that tends to and mends the gaps in the fabric of time. As for duration, that 8-week trip, when he and I took 30 years ago, it feels like it happened yesterday. I miss that van.
Thank you so much, David. I don't know about all of you, but the duration for me was much shorter than 20 minutes. Going to invite you all to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life. Stirrings of compassion.
Closing words today are a story from Gregory Bateson that was often retold by Stuart Brand and about time and care. New College, Oxford was probably founded around the late 14th century. It has a large dining hall with big oak beams across the ceiling. And some years ago, an entomologist found that they were filled with beetles. This was reported to the college council, who met in some dismay, as where would they get beams of that caliber nowadays? These were big beams. They ended up calling on the college forester and asked him about oaks. And as he pulled his forelock, he said, "Well, sirs, we was wondering when you'd be asking. It seems that when the college was founded, a grove of oaks had been planted to replace the beams in the dining hall when they became beetly, because oak beams always become beetly in the end. This plan had been passed down from one forester to the next for 400 years. You don't cut them oaks, them's for the college hall." Bateson concludes, that's a way to run a culture. That is the way to run a religious culture, a culture not of neglect, but of care and forethought. May we make it so. Go in peace.
As we extinguish the chalice, we gather the warmth of love, the light of truth, the energy of action into our hearts, and carry it forward into the dawning day. Go in peace.
there's a stuffy up front that belongs to you, please feel free to come forward and take them home with you.